Welcome back to Futuretech, your weekly source for the latest in tech and innovation and business. I'm the startup coach, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host, John Irwin.
Hey, how are you, Craig?
I'm doing great. It was a great video we did on Scale AI. Got a lot of interesting questions on Wednesday.
Yeah, really good. A lot of good feedback. It's a great program and one of those digital super clusters. So for those listening, if you're looking at doing a project that is AI related for supply chain, then talk to one of us.
Definitely. Talk to John. I,
Yeah,
I actually was talking to a founder yesterday that I'm going to connect you with on a number of funding fronts. So
awesome.
yeah, we might as well get into it. But before we do, I just want to let everybody know if they have questions for us or comments on what we're talking about, put them in the comments wherever you are. Comment on LinkedIn or Twitter or on YouTube, and we'll see them live and we can respond to them. That's awesome.
Absolutely.
So yeah, and let's jump right into it. What's our first story here? We're talking about the future of the internet from this article from InfoWorld. Three
Yeah,
visions for the future of the internet. So, what are these three visions they're talking about? And then we can get into it.
yeah. There's three. It's really two. It's really one vision of two different together, but we'll talk about it. So there's three primary visions in this article that they're guiding the evolution and future development of the internet. So you might have heard of Web 3, Web 3.0, which are two separate things, and then this one you might not have heard of is the semantic web. So Web 3.0 refers broadly to the next generation of internet applications and software. It encompasses the ideas from both Web 3 and the semantic web. So the goal is highly advanced applications that will make today's web, which is Web 2.0, seem basic. Now, Web 3, which is not Web 3.0, it's Web 3, refers to specifically decentralized applications and technologies built on blockchain networks. So for those that don't know, cryptocurrency is built on blockchain technology, which is a distributed ledger. Web 3 is utilizing the blockchain technology, but to build decentralized applications and technologies. So this could enable trustless computing applications across finance, identity, and more through distributed ledgers, smart contracts, things like that. Now, the semantic web was first proposed by an inventor, I think his name was Tim Berners-Lee, which aims to make information on the internet machine readable through metadata tagging of relationships and context. So it transforms it from a database to a knowledge base. So emergent technologies like blockchain, artificial intelligence, and improvement to data modeling are helping to progress these. They're calling it three visions, but it's really one vision that encompasses two different mergings of things. So Web 3.0 ultimately implies fully incorporating elements from these strands, especially blockchain and semantics, into kind of next-gen applications and platforms. So the future internet is taking shape as these visions combine with new version building upon innovation and addressing limitations of prior iterations. So they're kind of like the two are working together to kind of put things together. So Web3, for those that don't understand, we're not just talking about websites and things like that. Like, we're talking about distributed applications and things like that that can be web based as well. So we've got distributed finance, we've got DAOs, we've got different governance models, we've got a whole bunch of different things that come into when we're talking about Web3. Now, there are some challenges around the interfaces. So the big question is how are users going to naturally interact with more complex self-sovereign systems versus today's centralized web services? So that's something that's going to be a big challenge around there. So really cool stuff.
Yeah, and I would even go farther when we say crypto. Like, I don't even think, Web3 is more about, and what we're talking about here, when we're talking about a vision of the future, it's the whole immersive web. We're talking about, the metaverse, if that's what we're going to call it in the future.
Yeah.
We might not, just because Meta is branded and whatever, it might be called something else, but we're going to have immersive personalized experiences. And this is kind of what we're talking about.
Exactly. And just to throw a wrench into everything, because I didn't bring this up here, but there's actually a paper that was published by the founder of X or Twitter, the founder of Twitter, that talks about Web 5. So we're talking about Web 3, and he's already talking about Web 5. So there's a lot of different concepts going on. I like this concept. It's really cool. It just makes sense as to where we're going right now. If you are looking into what the technologies are and that are being developed, we've got the AI stuff, we've got blockchain, we've got a lot of large data models, we've got a lot of large learning models, we've got a lot of data that can be utilized as long as it's tagged properly. And I feel like this is the logical step to kind of exploit that. And the one thing to think about with Web 3 type stuff, not Web 3.0, Web 3, which is the blockchain stuff, is that I don't know if you remember, I think it was last year. No, it must have been 2 years ago now, where Facebook was down and all these big websites were down because there were central servers that went down. Well, if Facebook was built as a Web3 app on blockchain technology, that wouldn't have happened because it's a distributed node. So you've got all these nodes that are kind of serving up pieces of Facebook. So if one node goes down, well, then all the other nodes are going to step up. So it's going to be good as far as resilience. It's not going to be good for malicious websites where it's going to be difficult for the FBI to take down malicious websites, but it's going to be good. It's going to be interesting.
Now, I don't know if I agree with your assessment from a Facebook as a gone down example.
Okay.
Just because Facebook has server farms are their business, and they've got custom computing, custom power. They've got server farms, distributed server farms over the world. You're saying that, had we done something different and allowed individuals or other people to replicate the Facebook database, which is terabytes and terabytes, or if it was partially replicated, like saying something like the BitTorrent protocol, which can replicate everything and you can pull multiple parts of, how would this kind of work in a distributed environment if the main system went down?
Well, that's the thing with a distributed environment, there would be no main system. It would all be distributed throughout the different nodes and different things like that. Now, again, that's a smaller scale kind of example, right? So if we're talking Facebook, there would be the scale that they would need this is kind of a little bit more complex that I haven't even dove into yet. But there is that basic concept where everything's distributed. So if one goes down, another comes up, kind of thing, like a Hydra kind of thing. But
yeah, and I guess, I mean, that is ideal. If you look at blockchain and stuff, that's kind of how that's all set up to work. But when you're talking about private enterprise, we haven't yet seen a good example of a private, or I haven't.
No, neither have I.
Of them letting control go to such a point where like everything's distributed, that like anybody can control it. Anybody can.
Yeah, not at that scale. And the one thing, and shout out to Tracy Leporullo at Blockchain Futurist Conference. When I was there, there's a lot of, so we've got the Brave web browser, which is a distributed app, which is a D app, a Web3 app. We've got a lot of startup D app applications that are alternatives to the mainstreams like Spotify's and all that sort of stuff. So it's going to be really interesting to see which how these D apps grow and what ones become more mainstream, or if they do become mainstream. So we're gonna have to see, and when.
Yeah, and I remind everybody that I think the tickets just went up this morning.
I don't know. Click on registration. We'll see. They were they might have gone up today, or they're going up today. That's the thing. But we'll have to see. Yeah, tickets are going up. Nope, still. So they're going up today. So get your tickets.
For the Futurist Blockchain Conference today, February 2nd, it's going up, and then I'm sure they'll still be discounted because we're still a little ways away, but get your tickets
Yeah.
early. Every year I get people asking me, hey, where can I get discounted tickets? Like a week before the event. And I'm like, well, good luck now,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
now's the time.
Yeah, plan ahead. This is honestly, and I know we're digressing a little bit, but this is my favorite conference of the year. Like, I'm not a big fan of Collision, but Collision's great for certain people. This is a great one because some of the talks that they go through are very technical. Like, they actually get into writing code, and they go through the code, and it's really, really cool. It's really awesome to geek out. But they also have things for people who aren't that technical as well. So they've got art, they've got tech, they've got fun, they've got games, and you can learn so much. And the way that they do it is really good. They do it at Rebel. I think this year, finally, Cherry Street is now open, so there's going to be less of a traffic burden, which is going to be great. Yeah. Oh, there's Nav. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good conference. Go out, get your tickets now. We'll be throwing an after party again this year, like we usually do. So get
Yeah.
your tickets, come to our after party, have a good time.
Yeah.
I'll leave this going as we continue to talk about the visions for the
Yeah.
future of the internet here. What are the challenges to be addressed? We just talked briefly
Yeah.
about some of these of not letting go. Are there other advantages of
Limitations.
hurdles to
Yeah.
widespread adoption?
Yeah, so there's quite a few. There's interoperability, so ensuring that different decentralized networks and data standards can communicate. That will be difficult on a global scale. Usability, which is a big thing. So many Web3 and semantic apps have steeper learning curves versus today's polished interfaces that hide complexity. So that's going to be interesting to see. So I think there's going to be a big push for new UI UX kind of people, which is going to be cool. Governance. So there needs to be agreements on protocols and social consensus mechanisms to manage these decentralized systems. That's going to be challenging. Again, when we talk blockchain, people may or may not know, but blockchains are not really known for their scalability or their
High speed performance.
yeah, there we go. High speed performance. So the blockchains and the knowledge graphs are going to have to scale far beyond what they currently do to billions of global users. The other thing too is incentives. What's the incentive for people to start using these? So they're going to have to align economic models to incentivize participation and value creation across fragmented platforms. I know a lot of these are giving you coins for use and coins for use of your data and things like that. That's great. But the current market right now, a lot of people don't really care about that. So we're going to have to figure out how, or people don't know about it either. So that's another thing too. So the thing is maturity. So the core technologies like blockchain, machine learning, and distributed computing are still evolving. The other thing is security. So threats from hacking, fraud, and quantum computers can pose risks to adoption. Again, standards. So we're going to need standards, proven standards for identity, for payments, for metadata. That's all going to take time to coordinate. There's a lot more. There's infrastructure, there's adoption, there's skills. So workforce training. That's going to be interesting too. In areas like blockchain and semantic engineering are going to be needed. So it's going to be good. Even if it's not widely adopted for many, many years, that's good because it'll give us time to properly deploy it, if that makes sense, and build it properly.
Yeah, I don't know if it's good, but I mean, technology is rolling forward no matter what you do. I'm not a Luddite by any means, but like I said earlier, I just did this video on Elon Musk's Neuralink chip, and it's not flattering, and I'm comparing it to Snow Crash and the drug, and I juxtapose 1984 with Brave New World, and which one are we heading towards? You talk about all these things. We had a session not too long ago where Alex was saying, hey, I'm ready for the Neuralink chip, sign me up, I'm ready to be a cyborg. And I'm sure there's a lot of people out there like that. So how close are we to putting our chips in their head, having these virtual reality Web3 blockchain AI generated web experiences?
Well, if you look at kind of the Apple Vision and all these XR, AR kind of glasses, like we're slowly getting there. I think we're further away from brain implants than people think, because the brain is a muscle that is widely still unknown. And so, sure, maybe this Neuralink might work in a few people, but like if he starts putting it into others, like there might be problems because everyone's brain is different. Everyone's brain is wired differently. There may be different defects or sorry, effects. So it's like, and Craig, you and I did a thing on the Neuralink. Look at all the failed experiments that happened, right?
Yeah,
And
it's not
like,
good. I didn't bring any of that up on my recent video because I can't talk about it. Like I it grosses me out what
yeah,
happened to the monkeys and the testing and the animals. I just can't look at it, and
it's
it's
so sad. Yeah,
yeah. But we're here now, not there.
yeah,
And we can sit back and say how, that's cruelty to animals. Why can we not test makeup on an animal, but we can shove a chip in their brain somehow? That's okay.
yeah,
We all those things aside, because that's a different discussion, because I think that's wrong. Technology has to move forward, and here we are, like, just a day or two ago, a couple days ago, he announced that the chip is in the first human brain. And
mhm,
yeah, you and I both think that it's definitely not ready for prime time, and it's scary. And is
mhm,
it going to be one way? Is it going to be two way? And I just, you're going to be walking around. We talk about glasses, you talk about Vision Pro, but when
yeah,
the chip's in your head,
yeah.
you're going to be getting feedback from everything without those things.
Exactly, and it's a way to be controlled as well if it's two-way, right? They can send signals to your brain and
Yeah, I talk about that a little bit because there's questions about, who controls the flow.
yeah,
Um, somebody was joking. I was following the Elon Twitter. Someone was joking. You wake up in the morning and realize your dreams were all ads for League of Legends or something.
yeah, exactly. That's exactly it. Yeah,
It's like, okay. And, where do you stop? And at what point can some other entity control whether I'm happy or sad because of the
yeah,
chemical flows in my brain? And, that might be great when you think about maybe there's an app that can help me do it myself. But at the same time, I think we're on a collision course between those two things, the technology and the government control and oversight. When we talk about blockchain and tracking and AI, they're going to say, oh, sorry, you can't buy these groceries today once we have a digital currency, because you can have these things, but
yeah.
these things, too much sodium, too much this, like we talked about the island, whatever. That's
Oh,
just a classic example. You can't drive today. You can't do whatever. You've polluted
yeah.
too much. I don't know. But
Well,
it's all,
that's what it is in China. Like, for Chinese people, they need permission to fly or something like that, I think it was. So we could eventually get to that where, oh, sorry, you can't take your vacation because you owe this much in back taxes, or you owe a parking ticket. Like, it could get to that, especially if we get to the digital ID, which we are in Canada, and the digital currency. It's crazy. It's scary.
yeah, we're just with this whole thing, we're just one step away from being born and owing the world for the breaths you're going to take.
Yeah,
So you're already, a billion carbon credits in debt
yeah,
as a child, and you've got to figure out how to pay them back. And they're going to track you,
yeah.
every breath you take. How, that, what was that uh, movie where they were tracking how much breaths he was allowed to take based on his,
Oh, I don't know.
yeah, there was it was time, how much time you were
Oh,
allowed
how
to
much
live.
time? Oh, yeah, with
Yeah,
Justin
sorry, it was a breath.
Timberlake. Yeah,
That's the
yeah,
one. Sorry, it wasn't breath, it was
yeah,
time.
yeah,
And how close are we to this now? When someone else can control these things
yeah.
based on policy, and the policy can change tomorrow. Is this the world we want to see?
No, it's not the world I want to see. No, but then we get into the hacking of it, right? So you've got all these hackers. So like you could potentially break the connection and then have control over it yourself, and that's a whole other discussion that we could get into. But that's
Well, this
that's the stuff that really excites me is the
well,
hacking.
this is kind of why I looked at it as the comparison between, the snow crash drug and the chip, is that once you got this on your phone, an app that you can hack that increases chemicals or this or that,
Yeah,
you're drugging yourself out on yourself.
exactly. Yeah,
So it's a grim future when you start talking to me about these things.
For sure. Yeah, it is. It's a scary future, 100%. Yeah.